Okay, in a previous video, we talked about how PowerShell uses objects and not just plain text. And we talked about how these objects have different properties that we can discover with getMember. Now, by default, PowerShell only shows us certain information. So, for example, I'm going to do a get service, and I'm just going to do one service here because it's going to make my life easier. Get service bits, it's going to show us three properties here. So the column, top of the column, these headers are going to be the name of the property, and it's going to show us the status property, the name property, and the display name property. And then every row here is going to be a different object. You're going to have the same three properties displayed for all of our objects. Let me do this again. I'll just do get service, and I'm going to pipe that to more. So you'll see this is an object. Oops, that's two objects. This is an object. This is an object. All right, you get the idea, right? So we have all of these objects, and we're showing those three properties. Now, we're going to talk later on about formatting, but just real quick, PowerShell has some predefined formatting, and Microsoft has determined that when you do get service, it assumes these are the three things you're going to want to see the most often. But there are lots of other properties, not just those three. So I'm going to Control C, clear my screen, and I'm going to do a get service. I'm going to pipe it to get member. And this is going to show me lots of other different properties. Can pause and continue, can shut down, can stop, container, you see all the different properties here. So lots of different properties. So what I want to do is I want to look at my services, but I want to see some of these other properties that aren't being displayed by default. So here's how I'm going to do that. I'm going to do get service, and I'm going to pipe it to select object. Now, select object is what lets us grab some of these other properties. And so I'm going to list the properties that I want. I want to see the name. I want to see if it can pause and continue. Notice, by the way, I'm not capitalizing these. PowerShell is not case sensitive. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to do can stop. It will throw it over a space. Can shut down. And then I'm going to pipe that to more because it's going to give me a lot of things. Okay, and here we go. Here are all of my services, their name, whether they can pause and continue or not, whether they can stop, and whether they can shut down. And it will do this for every single property that I have. So, or every single object that I have. And in this case, I'm looking at service objects. So that's how I can use select object to pull different properties. Let's actually walk through that again real quick. I'm going to do something else. Let's do get process, since that's another one we look at. This is going to show us all of the processes in our system, and we're going to see, a bunch of things related to it. Now, something else I want you to be aware of, these properties, right, or these values right here, these are formatted, and we're going to play with formatting a little bit later. So when we pull this, if I pull these properties directly, they're not going to come out formatted. You're going to see these are put in kilobytes. This is in seconds. It's formatted to 2 decimal places. Okay, you get the idea. So let me control break out of there. So I'm going to do a get process, and this time I'm going to pipe it to get member. So I can see all of my different properties. And here you're going to see alias properties. Remember, a property is a property is a property. We don't care yet. At least at this point in our life, they're all the same. Here are a whole bunch of other properties. So let's say there's only certain things I wanted to see. Let's say I wanted to see the name and the CPU, and I don't care about the rest. So I can do a get process, pipe it to select object, and now I can choose the things that I want. So I want name and I want CPU. I'm going to pipe that to more. And now it's going to show me just those two things. And like I said, you can now see the differences in formatting. We'll worry about formatting in another video, so let's not stress out about that too much right now. But you can see here how it lets us choose the properties that we want. And we can choose properties that it doesn't include by default, the PowerShell doesn't include by default in its formatting, or we can choose less properties. Let's say I wanted to add one more to it. This is just going to be fun. I'm going to add the path so I know where this process is actually located at. And so now when I run it, here is my name, my CPU, and then this tells me the path where this process is actually started from. So that's the executable file for it. Okay, so that's how we can use select object. Remember, we use get member to discover properties. This is how we can use select object to choose the properties we want to see or not see.